Okay, as you can see here on my beans, at this one particular end, they came up like really thickly, which of course is how I planted them. I planted them quite thick, so they don't need to be this thick. I'll have to thin these out, but normally I'd be thinning them out. I'm going to do a little bit differently. On this end, as you can see right here, they come up just not so good. Not so good at all on this end here, just barely at all. So I am going to take those plants down there, the extra ones, and transplant them up here. As you can see, this little row, this little nice looking row right here, I've already transplanted these. So that's about like 6 I've already transplanted. Here in the center, between the 2 center posts, they came up really just about right. I won't have to transplant many there. But I never have transplanted any before, and like I say, I've already tried transplanting a few here, and the key to it is water. I watered the whole thing, just general watering a couple times, and just before I get ready to transplant, I just like super saturate the soil right where I'm going to be yanking some plants out. And I've had reasonably good success, since the plants are this small, reasonably good success of yanking them out of the ground without yanking the roots. I mean, you can tell if the roots are gonna rip or not. I can feel that one start to rip a little bit. So it's just a feel type of thing. If you can feel them start to rip a little bit, just put more water on them, and or try a different plant. Okay, let's try here. Now that one's close. It's a little bit of a tedious process, but I never have done this, but I really think it's going to work, because I am just disturbing the roots very little. That one seems to be coming pretty goodly. Seems to be coming along pretty good. A bit more water there. Oh yes, see there? So that is just a nice root ball there. So I actually think they're going to live. If you would have told me that the person could do this, I would have said no. But I actually think that these are going to live, because I'm getting so much of the root along with the plant. So I'll let you know how that goes. Okay, I've refined my methods a little bit on yanking these out. I get my hose to where it's just barely dripping water, maybe even less than that. And then I lay it down close proximity to a plant I want to rip out, which would be this one right here, this plant right here. And I rip a little, and then I push it back in just a little. You just kind of pull and push. You can feel it loosen enough. You just keep pulling and pushing. You don't want to go too quick and rip into the roots. Just keep pulling and pushing. And there we go. I got all the roots on that one. Now, I did not feel any roots rip, so I got all these roots. Some of them have more roots than this. And when I plant it back, I don't want to plant it any deeper than what it was, which is right there. Beans will get stem rot if they get too much dirt up in here. So, yep. So that works out good. And there we go. I did feel one little tiny root rip, but not much. So that one should live. At least I'm saying it should live. This is the first time I've ever done this. I never have transplanted beans before. And this one feels, I'm not going to do that one because it feels like it is well rooted. Do the one next to it. Oh yeah, that's very shallowly rooted. I didn't have to do anything to that. So that just came right out. So as you can see there, I got a pretty good root system on both plants there. Now I'll move my hose down to another area where I want to thin out, and that can be getting soaked while I'm transplanting this. And so right here we have the immediate result, the beans that I just now transplanted. Just really virtually everything you see here is what I just transplanted from where they were extremely thick. So Right now they look, right now it looks great. Right now they look better than any other beans out here, but we'll see. Sometimes things get transplant shock and don't do so well. But I really think that in the main, I got enough roots for 90% of these to live. I really believe that. Okay, maybe I'm just an optimist, but we shall see. Virtually every one of these beans that you see right here is the ones that I showed earlier that I transplanted. So as you can see, the beans are really doing nicely. Really, every single thing in the garden, including Susie, is actually doing better. Well, Susie's doing just as good as she did last year. But everything I've got planted from top to bottom is doing a little better than what it did last year. So that's a good thing. So there's the beans, the transplanted beans. So it is possible to transplant beans. Whenever you saw me transplanting these beans earlier in the tape, I transplanted additional ones like 2 days later, and I was able to transplant them just fine. And then about 2 days after that, I tried transplanting a few more, and I could not get them out of the ground. So when they get too big, when they get this size right here, you're not going to be able to get them out of the ground, root and all. So you got to get them when they're fairly small to be able to transplant them. But at any rate, the beans are looking fantastic, just better than they did last year. They're not yellowing or anything yet. They probably will. Mine have always had a little bit of a tendency to yellow, but the beans are looking like really, really, really good. Okay, it's time for a general garden vlog on everything. I'll try to keep it fairly quick, not bore anybody too much here. Alright, these are my cucumbers that I planted. Let's see if I can find a decent plant to show. Okay, well that's a fairly representative plant right there. So yeah, they are looking very, very healthy. There's another one right there. That's a cucumber. That's a straight 8 cucumber. Straight 8's over here on the left side of this. And Boston pickling cucumbers right here on the right. I probably will thin just a few more out here. I've already thinned some of them. And I put some chopped up leaves right here on top of the bare ground to keep the weeds down a little, even though there seem to be quite a few weeds anyway. I'll take care of them later. And here are the squash plants. I will thin this down to 3 squash plants per hill. They're pretty big hills, so I'll go with 3 per hill. This is probably my biggest one right here. The one next to it, I'll probably yank it up here in the next 3 or 4 days. But yep, the squash are looking very, very, very good. And this is my worst looking tomato plant right here. Really, it's not that much bigger than when I set it out. It is blooming, but I did wind up, I put a little bit of fertilizer on it just today. Another thing I did on this tomato plant here, since it is the smallest one and wasn't doing as good, I went ahead and took up the fabric, the landscaping fabric that was around it, and just put some leaf mulch around it instead. So maybe that'll make a difference. And I didn't fertilize the tomatoes originally when I set them out because I had so much bad luck last year. I thought that I would, just do anything different this year, so I didn't fertilize them. So since this one was doing bad and the other ones are doing good, I went ahead and fertilized this one just a little small amount, but didn't fertilize the other ones. And I bought this little bitty tomato cage here. It needs a little bit of support in order to reach out to this exterior cage here. So if I didn't put the interior cage, it would be the limbs would kind of break down on it a little bit. Although it would eventually, get on out here. And the peppers, these are the biggest pepper plants I've got. They're looking really nice too. All right, I did something a little different on the pepper plants. See these little ring things here? They just go in, and they just drive into the ground. Don't let easy. They just drive into the ground here next to the plant, and there's a little, and then the plant there's an opening right here, and then the plant just slips in through there. And I thought that they would stay, but they will not stay. If you come out here if you've got like 7 or 8 of them, you come out here the next day, 4 of them will be on the outside of the ring, and the ring won't be doing any good. So I just took some Scotch tape there and did that. Yeah, a person could take your pliers and pinch that together, but then if you use them a few years, you're going to have some wear on your metal there. So I did that. I don't have that for all of them. For the other ones, for the smaller ones, I just stuck up something next to them. They didn't really need anything yet. I may buy more of these. I'm not certain, or I may just stick up some sticks or whatever I happen to have next to them. But at any rate, the peppers are doing wonderfully. This is one of the yellow bells here. The 2 yellow bells are by far the prettiest peppers that I have right at the moment, which they probably were the prettiest ones when I planted them. But at any rate, and these are the tall, spindly ones that I said come from my aunt. They're getting a little bit stockier. You'll see these are some kind of cayenne peppers, and yeah, they got a little tiny pepper on them right there. And these other ones, of course, are blooming. That's another yellow bell there. Okay, so the peppers are looking good, and this was the tiniest one that I planted. It's grown some, but you know, it was really tiny when I planted it. But the peppers are all looking good, and these are the 3 tomato cages I have here, and I got a different type of interior cage here. I don't really like these cages all that well, but they do the job. But it's just one of those. It kind of comes in 3 sections, and then you just sort of snap it together, like right there is one of those places where it just snaps together. But anyway, these tomatoes are looking. All these are Mountain Pride tomatoes, and they're looking really good. This is my best one right here. And I just went and looked at some of my video from last year at this same time, and these tomatoes look leaps and bounds better. I need to put my hand in here for some scale, I guess. But they look leaps and bounds better than what they did last year. There's some blooms on that one. But they're not huge or anything yet. But they're healthy. They're nice and healthy looking, so they will eventually do very well. Especially, I mean, I had a fairly decent number of tomatoes last year, and this year will be even better, even though I have one less plant. I see Babs. What's Babs doing up there? Huh? You like the hay? You like the hay? You like rolling in the hay? Huh? Who doesn't like a good roll in the hay, right, Babs? Huh? Isn't that right? Yeah. Huh? That's right. Who doesn't like a good roll in the hay? There's Susie. Goodness. What you doing, Babs? My goodness. She's a good girl. Yes, okay, getting ready to plant my okra. Believe it or not, this is step number 1, which is run some tepid water. You know, somewhat hot bath water. Yep, that's about right. Step 2, get the okra seed out of the freezer. I bought this a couple of weeks ago. If I can find it. There it is, okra seed. This is, I don't know, paid $1.50 for this. I think this is 3 ounces of okra seed. And the reason you put it in the freezer, of course, I say of course like everybody knows this, but okra seed has got a pretty hard shell on it. Lots of times it's hard for it to germinate unless you put it in the freezer ahead of time. Overnight will work. I've had it in there a couple of weeks actually, but overnight works fine. There is my okra seed right there. Yeah, that's a pretty good shot of it there. Pretty small stuff. But anyway, when you put it in here, it kind of softens up the shell, or sort of cracks the shell a little bit. I think I need to get it a little bit hot. You can't necessarily see it, but trust me, it does some good. Well, let's put almost all of this in here. Sort of mix it up just a shade here, and then I'll just drain the excess water off of it.
Here's what came to go. So It's much easier with two hands.
Okay, and there you can see what's left. I think you could probably tell that it's almost like it's sprouted a little bit whenever you do this. It really gets it, helps it get started. Okay, I'm out in my garden now, as you can see, my main garden. But I think maybe I can get a better look at these okra seeds now. Yeah, you can see that the warm water really, kind of helped crack that tough exterior shell. It really it brings the plants out of its shell. Okay, I never have showed you exactly how far this other, where I'm planting the okra, is down from my main garden. So it's about 50 yards, I guess. Yep, about 50 yards. Right down through this way. And I've already rototillered up the okra patch here. You saw the first portion of that, but I have just hit it a pretty strong lick with a rototiller. I just finished up just a few minutes ago. Okay, so there you can see my prepared ground, 75 feet. I shall be putting this okra out. There's my yardstick right there. I'll be putting this okra out 1 foot apart. That's what I'll be doing. Now, some people go as far as 18 inches apart. And I've seen people, and I have seen people put it thick, like every 2 or 3 inches, which I don't think is the best way myself. But if the plants do really, really great, 18 inches is a good width. But I go with a foot apart, and so therefore, there's my yardstick, 12, 24, 36. And what I do, I just take like 3 or 4 seeds, and right in the center of the row, I just punch them in here right in the center of the row, just like so. And come on down to a foot, 3 or 4 seeds again, right in the center of the row. And this is great ground because I've just rototillered it. It's a whole lot easier to plant right when you just rototiller something. And of course I'll just be thinning this down to 1 plant per foot. Okra is just, as far as I'm concerned, practically the world's best food. Just got a little ways to go. It's Friday, May the 30th. Let's water my okra plants here. Okay. My hose does not reach all the way down to my okra plant. I would have to buy another 200 foot of hose to reach down there. So after the okra plants get up so tall, I won't have to water them anyway. So I'm just gonna carry water down there to them while the plants are small. That's assuming they come up yet, which I already know if they've come up. You do not know if they've come up. I planted them 5 days ago. Planted them Monday, Sunday. Planted them Sunday. This is Friday. 5 days. Let's see if they're up. And wonder of wonders, you may not be able to tell it at a glance there, but yes, they are coming up. There they are, right there. Okra plants, which in times past have been 10 foot tall. Right now they're just practically 0 tall. But they are coming up. Sometimes I don't even see them until I water them. Yeah, right there. There it is. Right there. There's one. Right there. Here's one that's practically fully emerged right here. Yeah, I don't know if I really made it all that clear before, but whenever I started planting these, whenever I showed you where I was, punching the seeds in, I just was doing it in the center of the row, and I decided I would go all the way across the row with my planting, and I will be thinning down, just to one plant, like on this strip here. But always plant, just plenty of seed, and then take the strongest plant and thin the rest. But there's probably 7 or 8 or 10 seeds across through here. Okra! Yay! And there's a cat. It's a Carly cat. People say I don't show Carly much, but there she is. Turn around, look at the camera. Okay. What you doing? You want me to water you? Huh? You want a little bit of water? Hey. No? Carly don't want any water? Okay. No water. This is the angle I get when I try to interview Carly. Yeah, well. You'd make a good politician. Some of them are buttholes too. Not that you are, but sort of the side you show. And there's little Miss Prom Queen right at the end of the road. Even though she's the shy one, she's the adventurous one. She's the one that loafers the most and gets out away from the house the most, which is actually kind of dangerous, but that's the way she is, the little shy, aloof one. Carly. Hey girl, say hi.